Hi, today we'll be CSSing something inspired by this animation, and we'll be doing it with the least amount of code possible using features such as grid, transforms, blend modes, custom properties. What we have here are 7 rows, each with a number of rings. So let's set those. We're going to have the number of rows set to 7, then the number of rings per row, let's say 14. So the total number of rings is going to be p times q. Now everything is going to be within the body, and here in a style attribute we are going to pass those p and q values to the CSS. So similarly for the q, and if I could use a keyboard that would be great. Now here we're going to have a loop, so while n gets decremented and is still positive, we create our ring elements. Now moving on to the CSS, on the body we are going to set display grid, and we're going to set a grid template, and here we're going to have repeat because we're going to have identical rows, and p is the number of rows, okay? And then here we're going to use the diameter of the rings, which we are going to set to, I don't know, 2.5 n's, maybe tweak it later. And then we're going to have a single column, and this is going to have a width, let's say it's going to be the minimum between 90, should this be bigger? I don't know. Viewport width units, and let's say 8 times that diameter, and here we're going to need to interpolate it. Okay, so and now let's see those ring elements. So to see them, we're going to give them a box shadow, and let's say no offsets, let's say a bit of a blur, and something like that. Let's also set place content center, and this only appears to work horizontally, and that's because at this point the height of the body is given by the height of its content, so we need to explicitly set the height of the body to the full viewport height. And as you can see, this creates an ugly scroll bar because of the margin, so the solution is to 0 the margin. Okay, now having done this, let's also make this inset, let's say, and let's give them a width, an explicit width set to the diameter. Let's see it now, and let's set border radius 50%. Okay, it's starting to look like something, and we can also have an outer bit of a blur, so let's say no offsets, something like that. Okay, now having done this, let's also set a grid gap. So grid gap, I don't know, let's say 1/4 of the diameter. That should work. Oh, and then we have the 0 height once after these p rows. Okay, let's fix that, and we're going to want to have, so we're going to want to have basically q rings on each row. So let's take care of that. In a style element here, we're going to have a loop. So yeah, if I could use a keyboard, that would be great. For let I going from 0 all the way up to q, increment this I, and here we're going to have ring nth of type, and we're using nth of type because style is a sibling of the ring elements and it comes before them, and that messes up nth child, the nth child index. So here we're going to have every q elements, right, plus I plus 1, and it's plus 1 there because the nth of type index and the nth child index as well, and also the row index, all of these are 1 based, as opposed to the loop index right here, which is 0 based. So here we'll be setting an index I to the loop index. Now having done this, we're going to have another similar loop, and this one is going to go up to p, and here we're not going to go every q elements, we're going to go after all the elements on the previous rows. We are going to set a j right here. Okay, now having done this, let's move here, and we are going to set a grid area. So grid area. This so the row, as I said, the row index is 1 based in this case, so we're going to need to add 1 to that j, which is the 0 based row index. So calc j plus 1, and they're all going to be on the first column. Okay, so now you can see how they're overlapping there, and we're going to want to have different colors on each row. So let's compute a progress on the row. So this is going to be calc I over q. So this is a progress along the row. Now we're going to use this to set a color. So color, and this is going to be an HSL value. Right, and here we're going to use K. And one thing I noticed here is that we don't have the full rainbow, we only go to a blue there. So let's say we only go, I don't know, 3/4 of the way, so that's going to be 270 instead of a full circle, 360 degrees. And let's say we won't max out the saturation, and the luminosity is going to be slightly above midway, I don't know, something like that. Okay, and we're also going to want to set mixed blend mode screen. Okay. Oh, this is actually, yeah, okay, it's making it difficult to notice them. So let's set a background here, not quite black. Let's make it more like this, something like, okay, much better. Okay, so now having done this, let's animate those. So let's say that we're going to have a percentage here, let's say 8%. Let's say that we're going to have an animation duration t, I don't know, 2 seconds, something like that. And here we're going to have a set of keyframes. So the motion animation, we're going to have 0% and at p%. And here we're going to have transform, translate, right? And here we're going to have calc, and we're going to have that column width minus the diameter. And of course inside the calc we need to interpolate it, right? And then similarly here we're going to have translate none for the other end. So here we're going to have 100% minus, and let's put them in increasing order, so something like that. And let's see it. Animation, that motion animation, the animation duration. Okay, and let's say that we're going to have knees and out for now. And let's say that we're going to have as an animation delay, let's say that j over p, so depending on the row, times the animation duration. And of course it's going to be infinite, alternate. Let's bring it. Okay, so it's starting to look like something. And we're going to want to subtract 1, and since it's alternate, let's double that. Let's see it. Okay, and we're going to have we're going to want to have something that depends on the progress along the row. So let's say something like that. Okay, let's increase this. Even a bit more, and let's subtract a bigger value there. Let's see it. Okay, and let's use a bit of a different easing. Actually, let's make the easing depend. So the first x value is going to be 0, the second x value, no, actually we're going to change the x values and keep the y values constant, right? So here let's say we're going to use k, and here let's say we're going to have calc 1 minus k. Okay, it's a bit extreme, so let's see, calc 0.5 times, and here 0.5 times, no, like that. Okay, so this is much better. Should I tweak anything else? No, I think I'm going to leave it at this. I'm not going to tweak it any further. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you like the work that I'm putting out since early 2012 and you want me to be able to do more in the future, please consider supporting it. You can do so by being a cool cat and becoming a patron on Patreon, or if monthly support is not your style, there's the option of a one-time donation, or you can make me happy with a gift off my wish list, or you can at least share this to show the role came done with CSS these days, because honestly I think it's pretty damn cool. In any event, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!